Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekly Manga Recap here on October 4th of 2018. It is October, and what does that mean, Chris? What's that mean?
Chris? Who is Chris?
No.
I am the Scale Master.
You're
Here
just
to
wearing
deliver you spooks upon spooks.
you're just wearing a hat, Chris. You're still Chris.
Spook Master.
If you do that every time that we record the show this month, then eventually you're going to burn that bulb out.
Good. I can get a new one. Or should I say, a boot one. Scam Master.
It's Halloween month, guys. I guess that's a good way to care off the show because I was neglectful last week and completely forgot to name the recommendation that we were going to take for the first recommendation for Halloween month. It comes to us from the recommendation section of our Discord server, which if you have not checked out our Discord, you should do that because it's a really good way to make suggestions and discuss things and share stuff with people so that you know what has and has not been suggested. And the one that we're going to be taking a look at for next week is called Bloody Monday. We are currently
Just
working
like the song from my favorite artist, Boo 2. Did you get it, Nick?
Well, that's actually Sunday, Bloody Sunday, because it's
close
you know.
enough. Scaremaster's not fucking.
No. What you should have said was like, no, that's the song by U2. I'm talking about the song by Boot.
By Boot. Nick,
You never listened to me, Nick.
in the deep lore that is the Scaremaster, everyone knows that his powers get stronger the closer it is to Halloween. So, these are like early puns and jokes and scares, obviously. And they get stronger the closer we get to Halloween.
Okay. I also like that the Scaremaster's great crown is so heavy that you have to support your headphones when wearing it.
My headphones can't fit over the Scaremaster General helmet, which is its name, and thus I have to DJ it and have it to the side, but if I just let it go for too long, it'll slide right off. Yeah. I do look like I'm DJing right now. And in my mind, it's just the Monster Mash I'm like mixing back here the whole time. Think of that. That's all.
Who's ready for Monster Mash for number 20, guys?
That might have been an actual song.
Well, what, like a remix or something?
Yeah. Go watch Todd in the Shadows One Hit Wonderland on the Monster Mash. That is a wonderful discography.
It's a great video, too.
Let's just talk about Todd. I really want to talk about Todd.
Todd's great.
What a dude.
Why don't we ever have Todd on the show, aside from the fact that he doesn't read manga?
And probably actively thinks it's lame and wouldn't want to.
You guys are nerds.
Even if we paid him to, I think he'd still be like, I'll pass. We could tell him it was a show about his dog and compliment it the whole time. And he'd still be like, yeah, I'm not interested in this.
It's an ambush, Todd. We could have him on for an As Explained by Manga, have him explain Amy by manga. He's like, well, I don't know anything about Naruto or any of this shit, but
she's a great dog and she's cute and loves. I'm like, just like One Piece.
All right. What we're going to do this week in lieu of having an actual Halloween recommendation is we're just going to head right into the recap portion, weekly manga recap. And Chris, that means since we start off with My Hero Academia, that we have a milestone that we're getting to. It's chapter 200. Only chapter 200. Chris, I went to see a fucking movie about My Hero Academia this weekend.
How was it?
It was a very fun experience. I think that the movie itself is okay. It's very fan servicey in the non-sexual way. You know, it's like, okay, here's a big moment for all your favorite characters, and here they are on the big screen, and they do cool stuff. In terms of going to see it, I think this was the first time since the first Yu-Gi-Oh movie that I went to see a proper anime film. And the first Yu-Gi-Oh film was a wide release. Mm-hmm. So it didn't have, a concentration of people who were desperate to see it in there. It was just me and my sister laughing at it while about 5 other people were in the theater looking at it like, why am I here? Why am I watching this? But the
All
movie
of you
goes,
are just like consecutively thinking about, or concurrently thinking about your life choices. Like, what brought me here, and how can I prevent this from ever happening again?
well, years of nerddom. That's not going away then.
Yeah.
Uh,
I guess I just need to burn my car.
I think my dad drove us to it, and he went to go see a different movie. Anyway, it was a very fun experience. A lot of very passionate fans there. It was very much like sharing an experience with them because every time that something remotely funny happened, there was mass hysteria, giggling each time that a character showed up on screen. Yay! Except when Mineta showed up, and then it was like no, and me going yes. But I do actually highly recommend, if you're a My Hero Academia fan, going to see it, if only because it's well, it's going to be a really fun time watching the audience watch it. So, with that said, let's talk about the manga itself. This is continuing the team battle between Yaoyorozu and Kendo's groups. Last time it seemed
Nick,
as though...
Don't you
What?
mean Yaoyorozu? Oh.
It's like
Nailed it.
yeah. So, I'm just gonna ignore that. Last time, Class 1A seemingly had caught Kurogiri, but then all of a sudden mushrooms appeared as we are introduced to Kinoko Komori, or She-Mage, I think is the way you say that.
I think so.
Or maybe Shimage? Shimage, like Shiitake. I think that's it. She shoots out mushroom spores everywhere. And she also has a spray gun of some sort to make it extra humid in the area that she's sprouting out mushroom pollen everywhere. Also, there is Kurogiri is hiding now in one of the mushroom shadows. So we get this very odd visual of a just pure black mushroom going, hey! It's kind of Mario-esque. Also, there's a very weird moment where, because the mushrooms are sprouting literally everywhere, including on the members of Class 1A, some are just seemingly appearing in midair on Hagakure's body, and she says, and I quote, "They're totally revealing my curves. How embarrassing."
That's someone's fetish, probably.
I guess. Probably. There's 7 billion people in the world, so yes. So this has thrown Class 1A into a bit of a panic. Yaoyorozu tries to calm everyone down, but all of a sudden this tremendous cacophony of noise literally comes rumbling through, and giant sound effects appear as Manga Fukidashi, the guy with the comic panels for face, has revealed his quirk, which is comic, which is he brings onomatopoeia to life. That's pretty cool. It's kind of like a better version, I think, of the solid script that Levy uses, as it's more cartoonish and outlandish. But same principle. He makes noises and it appears as a sound effect and causes stuff to happen. But as a result of the destruction that he unleashes, Yaoyorozu is cut off from the rest of the group, and Kendo tries to take her out and starts just attacking her with her big fist quirk, while Yaoyorozu defends herself by summoning like shields of metal from her arms. So we cut over to the peanut gallery for a little bit, and Tetsu's like, "That's our Kendo. She's totally going to win because Yaoyorozu is weak on her own to close hand-to-hand combat." But Todoroki says, "Well, no, I think that she actually has underestimated Yaoyorozu. If she really were serious about taking her out, she should have actually had all 4 of them go after her." Oh no, the king of horror is gone. I was like, I saw that.
Spookmaster General never leaves. He just needs to find a better way to facilitate this. As I said, his powers and convenience get closer we are to Halloween. Continue,
Right.
Nick.
Well, that's basically the end of the chapter. Is this where he's like, "Don't underestimate Yairozu," and then you see like her arm and face sparking or something. Something begins to happen, and it's caught Kendo off guard, and that's it. That's the end of the chapter. It's a really weird chapter 200. It's just like, well, okay, here's a couple of random people, and now Yairozu is going to do something actually important.
No, it's part of everything. I mean, this chapter is somewhat interesting. I like the side of me that kind of has to overanalyze how these things work says like, oh, this is a chance for Yairozu to look good. And at the end of this, we'll find out like the other 3 members of the team were captured after she's victorious in this one-on-one fight. So a member of Class A can still feel victorious, but we get a loss in for ultimately Class 1A, and we can kind of move on to the next one. Regardless of how it is, I'm kind of glad that there's this thing of just like, yeah, Yairozu is really competent and cool, and all of her classmates kind of like in stone cold confidence feel like, yeah, Kendo kind of fucked up by not trying to take her out earlier with all of the team or something like that. Like, when you push her against the wall, Yairozu is crazy powerful kind of deal.
I don't really have a whole lot to say about this one. I do agree that this is starting to feel like one that Class 1B is going to win. But as we discussed earlier when going over this, it's like, well, honestly, we have no clue because there's nothing at stake. It's not like one of them has to win at the end or anything like that. So from there, let's move on to Food Wars. Shokiriki no Soma. God, I don't remember. Oh, yes, I do remember. Okay. It's chapter 281. The Blue. Last time the council worked, they passed. They made a lot of money. They made too much money. And they congratulate each other basically at the beginning. And I was like, because Takumi and Alice are like, wow, Megami, you were really holding down the fort and going around everywhere and taking everyone's orders and handling the entire dining area basically by yourself. And it's like, yeah, and Alice did nothing. She stood outside with a sign. Yep. Because like they went over how Hayama's contribution was actually drawing the customers in with the smell, and then the other 3 were cooking everything. What the fuck did Alice do? Nothing.
I don't know. She brought the equipment, Nick. It's very, very important.
You were here with your money. Thank you. And now at this moment, we decide to go back to when Aaron, kidnapped by a Nazi girl, a bartender, a ninja, and a guy with stupid hair. Well,
Bootnik!
Bootnik?
Don't you mean Scarina?
Yes, I do. So
good. Just so we're all on the same page. Scaremaster General.
So yeah, Asahi Saiba is there, and he's like, aha, I've kidnapped you. And Arian is thinking, oh no, what's going to happen to me? And she remembers, this is an odd detail, her grandfather telling her horror stories about Le Cuisinier Noir. Like, how old was she? Because she says, my grandfather warned me about them when I was little. As there are wicked people in the world, there are wicked chefs. And to achieve their goals, they will blackmail and kidnap and threaten and torture. They balk at no crime, not even murder.
But good night. Mwah. You'll probably never run into them. Mwah.
And it's like, can you imagine like he's reading through a book and he's just like, and if you should ever come across Le Cuisinier Noir, all you have to do is, oh, it's late. Time for bed. Okay.
Just time to throw this book out. Grandpa, you didn't finish it. Nope, I only read a book once.
Have to reach the end or else it goes in the furnace. So, she looks around the fucking room and sees fucking heroin and needles and a fucking ball and chain and a ball gag.
But Nick, don't you mean scarewin and a bull gag?
It's really bad. Okay, so
it's very scary though. This is maybe the scariest chapter of fucking Food Wars we've ever had.
It's like probably for fucking laughs though, because you're like, oh shit, and then.
Well, here's the thing I find very funny. They set this up as like she looks over and she's like, oh my god, all this like torture equipment, and oh my god, all these drugs. Are they gonna drug and torture me? And they're like, no, of course not. Like, we want to win you to like we want to have a cookie contest, and then they don't ever answer why they had torture equipment and heroin just laid out around her.
Those are for all of the girls that we've kidnapped who aren't you.
Yeah, come on, we're not bad guys. We're not monsters.
Oh god, that actually reminds me of something. So, there is. You of course are familiar with the Attitude Era of the WWF, the World Wrestling Federation, and how they did some questionable things in order to push the envelope and try and appear edgy. Mm-hmm. There was one time when Triple H and his group DX were feuding with Vince McMahon. So this was prior to when Triple H, abducted Stephanie in order to marry her in her sleep. Yes, that happened. Where they seemingly kidnapped her, and like it showed them with like her like pinned to the ground. With her hair over her face, and then like the camera like they closed the door in the camera's face, and the episode of Raw ends with everyone going like, oh my god, what's gonna happen to Stephanie? What are they gonna do to her? And then they came back the next week and said like, actually that wasn't Stephanie, that was some random college student who happened to have brown hair.
Okay, well, what happened to that girl?
What happened to that girl?
Oh, they ate her. I mean, waste not. It's sort of the motto of the ministry when you get right down to it.
Oh, it would have been much. No, this was Triple H and DX.
Oh God, ministry. DX.
So even skeezier than
they were like they forced her to butt chug until she died, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that's what that reminded me of. So. Asahi says, I challenge you to a cook-off, and if I win, you should be my bride. And I do actually love Erina's reaction to this, because now that she knows what's actually going on, she's just like, oh, you think you can fucking mess with me, huh? And she like stands up in the chair that she's tied in, and is like, come at me! I'm not sick of your fucking bullshit! How dare you fucking do this to me? How dare you come to my fucking turf and mess with my school? I'll fuck you in the ass! And yeah. And so she's like stomping around, like getting ready to go into a cookie battle right away. And he's like, no. We're not doing it right now. No.
No, we're going to have some heroin and sit on a wooden horse for a little bit.
Obviously, we need to beat each other with this ball and chain in order to make sure that we have a blood pact formed over this. So that so we're reminded of the Blue, that competition that Joichiro participated in or was going to participate in. I forget if he actually participated in it or not. Much grander stage and everything like that. And Asahi says, yes, this year's Blue will be a true and equal free-for-all between the culinary world and the underworld to determine who the first seed of the next generation will be. And I'm going to be there. And so he says, this summer is when the next Blue is. And that's it. He talks about how awesome it's going to be when they get married and stuff. And then the chapter ends before they've untied Erina, with Joichiro just like showed up and be like, what's going on around here? He's just walking around on the beach.
But Nick, don't you mean Bone Ichiro?
That's actually better than Boo Ichiro. I'll give you that much.
There we go. Boom! Scaremaster General.
So this was an odd chapter, I felt. But I did actually like Erina's reaction to everything, because instead of like, grim determination, she's just like, all right, let's do this. Even though she's been kidnapped.
Yeah, she jumps up pretty quick. You know what? I almost kind of wish they had gone further with the notion of her like looking around and seeing all this sort of stuff, and then like just
a dinosaur in the corner.
Like just keep elaborating on it. Like all these things are like, oh, they're missing. They're like, why did you tie me up to this chair? Like, oh, we didn't tie you up to this chair. We thought your posture was really bad, so we're just trying to fix it. Like, just go all the way and just make it this comedic like stupidity of events for a while. Everything else is kind of just like meh. Like, I don't know, like for some reason I'm less excited at the idea of like, oh, they're all going to do all this stuff at the Blue and it's going to be a big kickoff for Erina's heart at the Blue. Like, it almost feels like they're trying a little too hard to tie like a romance with Erina into what presumably is going to be like this big final arc of Shokugeki no Soma, where they're kind of like putting out there, unless like it ends with Erina weighing on. She's like, fuck you all, I'm my own goddamn person. Like, it just feels like something that you're trying really hard to like force in a conclusion into a cooking contest, when that's something that normally Shokugeki is pretty good at.
Yeah, and I guess it also kind of takes away directly from like, oh, there's a criminal underworld that's coming after everything, and we've got to go and hunt them down and stop them. And if you just like, yeah, we'll meet you at this tournament and settle things there.
Actually, maybe that's my favorite thing for this chapter, is that they were like, yeah, this big honorable cooking tournament for years has kind of run, and then just this year is like, we need to put terrorists in this. Like, it's been going too well for so long. Let's put the most abrasive, most insidious portion of our community into this tournament and like kind of publicly make it a big deal.
Yeah, it's
unless it's revealed that that's what Azami did after losing, and he just went from being one huge dickhead one place to a more enormous dickhead somewhere else.
It's like, well, we can't allow anyone who has a criminal record to enter this competition. So, oh, wait, hang on. Oh, no, it says right here, while Azami was deed, he decided that was a good idea. Oh, shit. Okay.
So there's things like, what? It doesn't say in the rules that attempted kidnappers can't be part of the Blue. They're like, fuck, I knew we forgot one. I knew we forgot one of the rules when we were putting the draft together. We made certain to say dogs can't be cooks, but we didn't think not to put kidnappers and criminals could be cooks. Fuck, well, they got us. It's not the rules.
Damn it. But that's Food Wars this week. I guess we know what to freaking expect now. But let's move on to Eden Zero, Chris.
Yeah. Eden Zero, Chapter 14, Born Again.
Yes, that's exactly what is written down there. You did not modify it at all.
Or Bone Again. That might be better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I don't know why this bothers me so much, but like, so the cover page is a bunch of characters. First and foremost, I don't know why they keep putting the bunny girl in there. Like, I guess it's because the series hasn't been going long enough that there's another like prominent female character they could put in, but they keep having her show up as though she's going to be a character, and she's always like being hit on by Weiss, and no one cares. Like,
well, that's because he hooked up. She hooked up with future Weiss. So
yeah,
there.
Well, Weiss X hasn't hooked up with her, and I don't know, like, it's always like she's in the cover page. I'm like, she's not a character in this series, though. This is such like, it'd be like if Panda Man was like the sixth character in certain Straw Hat like spreads. Like, hey guys,
I'm here.
But the other thing that confuses me, beyond the fact that there's little cat squid things, why Pino needed to be given a bikini when I'm like, is she a robot with like a steel dress? Like, why does she need a bikini is the question.
It's summer wear, Chris.
But it looks like they just painted on like new steel parts.
Yes.
All right, fair enough. So, last time.
I actually do like the way Happy is drawn here. It's like the least annoying he's ever looked.
He just gives no fucks.
Yeah.
He just wants that space beer.
I'm a cat. I don't give a fuck.
So this chapter begins, and last time, Shiki beat Elsie in a climactic fight in her...
It was definitely Elsie.
Yeah, her ship was full of these weird pustule biological creatures, and You know, despite that, Shiki was able to overcome and defeat her with the gravity comet, or whatever its name was. He learned it. He finally mastered it after all these years, Nick. It was a big deal.
Yeah, what a great moment, after all those volumes of seeing him try to master it and it not working out, he finally did it, Chris.
And I always forget that everyone in this series is supposed to be British, because Weiss and Rebecca come in, and Weiss is like, so that's where the noise came from. It was Thwomp Boy. And I can't not read that in like a British accent, like, oh, it was Thwomp Boy over there.
And that's the thing that he called his gear, isn't it? Thwomp something or other?
Thwomp something, yeah.
Yeah.
They question why he's naked. It's because his clothes shredded off when he did his big movie.
And because I'm also modeled after Gray in addition to Natsu.
Yeah. And they all are like, wow, you beat Elsa? Oh, no! And she starts melting away, Nick, into acidic gloop that will devour them all. That's actually the real danger aboard this ship, an acidic life form that will destroy all life it comes across. A biological super weapon unleashed into the... Wait, no, it's actually a little tiny alien that runs away in fear after he comes back. And then Elsie gets on the radio and reveals that she's not only their friend, but has always been their friend. She explains that this isn't actually her big ship. This is a storage ship that they use and kind of left unintended, so it became infested with bugs. And that wasn't her. It was a parasite that mimics human form. So that's why it had like chemicals and all sorts of stuff, or tentacles and
also,
all that stuff.
Well, also why all the other crew members had the weird tentacles and everything.
Yeah. So she thanks them for their extermination job. Which I'm not sure why I assume that the notion is that the bug, like the mimic people were working for her, because it perfectly mimicked her and fit very well into her, I'll let you have this fight so it'll be fun to see what you're capable of. And if that's the case, you think that the parasite people would be like kind of bummed that they let them all get beat up for her amusement, but I don't know. Anyway, Elsie's like, you guys could have the ship now, because it's yours. And she explains that it was going to be their ship from the start. She always planned to, because it belonged to the Demon King Ziggy. And she met him on his return trip to go find Mother. And he told me he never made it to Mother, but he found you. And Shiki's like, wait, I wasn't born on Grand Bell? And everyone's like, we assumed you weren't, because it's just robots there. Like...
You see, Shiki, when a boy robot and a girl robot have compatible parts and love each other very much,
they can't fuck a baby into existence. Ziggy knew he
all robots are actually pansexual because they don't actually have gender.
Ziggy knew his life was coming to an end. He went to Grand Bell rather than anything else. That's where he decided to raise you, etc., etc., etc. Little robot's like, oh no, that means he's dead. And Elsie's like, well, I owed Ziggy a favor, no more than that. So here's the ship for you. Now that you need this ship so you can get around. And we already have like these moments of Weiss being like, oh wow, I can't believe we're getting this ship. It's so cool. And everyone's like, so you were just tricking us. She's like, of course. I mean, I was half joking. Do I look that villainous to you? And then one of her crew members pops in and is like, yeah, but I'm going to make a lot of money off of those tentacle pictures. And it's like, all right, that's kind of a little weird. Shiki's like, well, we were going to just steal the ship. Now you're giving it to us? That sucks. This isn't fun anymore. I don't want your ship. And everyone has to be like, take the ship, you stupid asshole. And she's like, yeah, just take it because it's only one ship compared to my fleet of ships. And I guess she has a camera somewhere out in space that shows them a very cinematic shot of her entire armada of
It's just this really, really, really long selfie stick sticking out of the window of one of them.
Yeah, I got it. And yeah, everyone's like, wow, she's a really big shot. But then there are reports that the intergalactic interstellar Union army is attacking, and they begin to fire. So looks like bad news for Elsa, or Elsie, whatever her name is. Anyway, she's like, put the shields up, let them have some fun. These are just warning shots, and then we'll zap away. We'll distract them long enough for you guys to escape. That's apparently what happens. She says, my debt to Ziggy is repaid, so now I never want to see you again. Shiki's like, you were a friend of Grandpa's, weren't you? Well, that means you're my friend too. And Elsie finishes it by saying, whoever makes it to Mother will be born again. And we get this giant image of Mother floating in space with a tiny little star child kind of cradled around, like in that kind of like curve of body she's creating. And everyone's kind of curious what that means. Seems very, very interesting there. So then they fly away, and Justice, I think was his name. He's like, we gotta go after her. And we start seeing an ether gear appear on him. But as the ether gear appears on him, his hair turns dark blue, just like Siegfried and Gerard. And he scours with the same mark of Gerard as he's like, Elsie. And Elsie turns, she's like, I'm not that easy, Justice. And whoa, they had their relationships in space now, but it's twisted. They're not lovers. They're actually enemies now.
Oh, yeah, because Urza and Gerard were never enemies.
They have this whole thing where they're like, yeah, I can't, what a cool ship. It's so fast. This is going to be so great. We're close to Blue Garden. Let's go back there. And then we cut to the bottom of the ship, the ship's hangar, where a pod opens, a pod labeled E4. And from out of it pops some person. It looks like a woman. I don't know if it's supposed to be a robot. She kind of has like effects to her hands that make it seem like maybe they're robotic. I'm not entirely certain though, but we'll find out, I guess, next time.
Probably. Even when Urza loses, she wins so hard that she wins a bigger battle than you even knew was going on.
Yes.
So there you go.
So,
I mean, we basically knew that it wasn't the real Elsie when Shiki beat her last time. So yeah.
So a couple of straight thoughts. First and foremost, I didn't even realize the first time that was fucking Justice turning into Gerard, which is so infuriating to me that
I didn't even think of it until you pointed it out. So.
When you see it, you're just like, fucking Christ, this dude again, 3 series now, hero. I get that you like the design, but and I am bummed that they're not doing anything more interesting with Elsie. And I know that Fairy Tail often got described as being like knockoff One Piece, which I think is unfair in a lot of ways. But this series is really hitting me hard with a One Piece vibe when they're like, here's your brand new ship. It's so big. I guess you're going to need a lot of people for it. And I don't know. It's just one of those things. It's like, I'll be curious to see how this goes. But the one thing I want to kind of comment on that I think Replica Rabbit brought up in the chat. It is odd that this series about space has felt so normal that we haven't seen like that many aliens. They haven't really done anything that interesting with the designs of anything. It is kind of strange and kind of disappointing to do a big space adventure series, and everyone thus far have been kind of like some approximation of either humans or robots.
Well, they look just as ordinary as they would in Fairy Tail.
Yeah, like everyone, you can't really tell it's that different and be like, oh, this would be a good spot to put something that just couldn't have existed in Fairy Tail or something like that. You could still make it humanoid-esque. You'd still make it, something that walks and, has like limbs like a human would, but you could just be like, oh, well, it's fucking, I don't know, what were they called in Turians, like from Mass Effect or something like that. As opposed to like, no, our aliens is this bunny girl people. And I'm like, I don't think just giving them bunny ears makes them a whole different race all itself that's that interesting.
Well, and also you never like seem to see like a race. You haven't seen like any alien races yet, just like individual examples, it seems like, of like, oh, it's a wacky alien, But like, imagine like they came across some freaking even like something as ordinary as like Klingons. Something that would be like identified as like, okay, they look very different from a regular human. So yeah, I don't really have too much to say about this chapter. It's like, yeah, okay, they've got their ship now. Good for them.
Yeah, okay, feels like a really good way to describe Eden Zero. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, right. Okay. Moving on from there. All right. I completely forgot about this. I don't think I actually read this chapter.
Of
David.
Oh, it's such a great chapter, Nick. You know what? I I applaud this chapter. So the whole joke of this stupid chapter is that they're going to class and it's art class and it's etching class. And David hears it as etchy class. So Venus keeps saying like, "Hey, do you want to help me with etching?" And he keeps thinking, "I can help you with etchy." And he starts having all these perverted thoughts about her and leading to all these things. And she's just like, "Yeah, you know, it's my first time etching, so I kind of like it if you join." He starts thinking about like him in the bed with her and another girl and being like, "Oh, and at school, this could be crazy. This could be this moment." And like, "David, aren't you going to do it?" He's like, I don't know. Is it really okay? What should I do? I need to think. And it's all to get the fucking thinker pose in there. And I'm like, fuck, man. If every chapter goes this stupidly far out of the way to reference a piece of art, I might be all in for the whole ride. It then ends with like evil David and angel David trying to like talk him into it. And then he realizes that he's like, "I'm going to do it." And he fucks both of them over. And then he realizes what etching actually is. And they do like the pose of him like laying on her. She's like, "Oh," it's another art pose. It's not nearly as
Pieta.
It's not nearly as interesting as finding a way to force the thinker into the series, but that's it. It's I applaud the translation for finding a way to make this joke translate so well. So I definitely enjoy that. This is the last chapter of David we're going to get, and I think it went on the exact note it should have. A+, best chapter of the week.
Oh, actually, there's a funny visual I do want to note as I'm flipping through this. When she first proposes that they...
Hey, Nick. Your sound disappeared for a second there.
How about...
It may just need to be swapped back to your mic. I think it's on your...
Okay.
There we go.
Okay, good. What I wanted to say was there's the moment when Venus first proposes etching to David, and she's standing behind him when she does, and his head snaps around so hard that the stone in his neck cracks. That's a pretty fun thing. Mm-hmm. Honestly, this is probably the best chapter so far that we've gotten of this. I wouldn't be too upset if we didn't get any more, but I'm kind of glad that we read it. So
that's the thing, you know. I feel like my life, even if it is in an infinitesimally. Yeah, there it is. That one's a hard word. Even if it's that word small, my life is a little bit better because I read this series.
What about I'm from Japan, Chris? Did that make your life a little bit better? Huh?
Yeah, maybe what if I read it?
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of Japanese words. I don't know.
They go into the Gotemba premium outlets, yeah, with motorcycles.
I mean, it's better than I guess the like slapping your butt into everybody's face Korean Shinyan chapter.
Yeah. That one kind of completely put me off of the series forever. It's like, okay, yeah, he just is a dancing butt now, doing kicks. I like the premise of the series. I think it is a kind of amusing of an idea. It's just so intrinsically Japanese that I like. As somebody who has no knowledge of these areas, I don't find the distinct like. And I'll be honest, I'm not really a geography guy. These could all be, take these prefectures away, and these could all be central Pennsylvanian cities, and I'd still be like, don't give a fuck. I don't care. Yeah, I get it, Lancaster. You have to have pride in your hometown, Chris.
I give no fuck. Oh, actually, this is an interesting story. So on Sunday, me and a bunch of friends went over to Buffalo Wild Wings. We were just in the area and wanted to go in. And we got in, and I completely forgot that it was Sunday, so it's a football day. And it's the exact time the Eagles game was going on. So it was packed and it was loud and it was a bunch of Eagles fans getting really hyped up. And there was particularly two guys right next to our table who were super loud, and they're those kinds of guys that a play happens and it gets called, and they'll say like, God, why are they doing it? It's fucking up. Or like the Titans will get a big play and they're like, that's a block in the back. It should be called back. It's a block in the back. That's a block in the back. And I'm just sitting there and I'm like, God, I don't know. I haven't asked for a lot recently, particularly when it comes to football. Please let the Eagles lose. And I'll be honest, we used to do Botch Snap for like 2 years. We did a football podcast, and I think both of us can admit we've fallen out of football since then.
Absolutely,
it's not anywhere near as interested in our lives as it used to be. For that brief moment, I was completely back. When the Eagles lost, and it was all these shitty Eagles fans leaving dejected, unhappy, and pissed, I just sat there with the smuggest, shittiest smile on my face, like, good. I hope this ruins all of your days.
I'm just imagining, like, your friends left way before the game was over, and then all the Eagles fans leave in dejection, and the place is just completely empty except for you with a big grin on your face. Bartender, another!
One spotlight shining down upon me.
Victory.
I just, like, slowly... And then the Bobby Roode theme song plays. As I walk out, arms raised just like that.
This is the only reason anyone likes me. Prove me wrong. All right, Chris. I'm actually going to be right back while you start out this chapter. I've got to actually prepare for this.
What is this chapter?
You never learn.
Oh, okay.
Be right back.
All right. So, we never learn. Chapter 94. No, sorry. Question 81. A genius secretly responds to X to their conjectures. So this chapter starts off with Yuiga talking to Ogata, and she says, he's basically like, yeah, I went to an open campus day the other day with Aruka, so I think it'd be a really good motivation booster if you go. And she's like, oh, okay, cool. And he kind of, it's like, oh, here's this school that seems perfect for your goals. Then, Shikijo comes in and she's like, hey, want to go to this campus tomorrow? There's a physics program for me and a psych program for you on the same campus. And since she kind of proposed this at the same time that Yuiga did, Ogata's like, oh, well, why don't we all just go together? So cut over to the next day and we see Sekijo is hiding in the bushes as Ogata's kind of waiting for somebody. And she texts over to Ogata, sorry, but I have a sudden stomach ache. Ow, ow, ow. Would you mind just going with Yuiga today? And she says, she sends that over, and she hears Ogata saying, like, she's like, oh, wow, what's keeping Yuiga? He's so late. And Ogata shouts out aloud, she's like, both of them are staying home with stomach aches? So they both in unison shout out, what is that dummy thinking? And we realize what the premise of this chapter is going to be. That both Yuiga and Sekijo are going to try to excuse themselves from this situation so that the other can spend time with Ogata.
Alone.
Yes, alone. So there's this moment of her being like, oh, that's Ogata being like, it's so good. Both of your stomach aches cured up so immediately. What a miraculous coincidence.
I like how you're adding the arm waving pose because it's completely un-Ogata-like to do that, but it's so appropriate for what she's saying right now.
It's very un-Ogata.
The most perfectly naive child that she is. Like, wow, I guess you guys are fine now.
Yeah. So, Yuiga has a thought. He's like, oh, I know. I'll pretend to go to the bathroom. And then he turns, and Sekijo's like already in like a runner stance. She's like, I have to go to the bathroom. Goodbye, you two. And Yuiga stops her. He's like, no, I'm the one going to the bathroom. And they have rock, paper, scissors fight over who gets to go to the bathroom. So we go to class. Sekijo lost. And they're in a mathematics open class. So the mathematician there is teaching a class, having his big long thing, talking about, the formulas and equations and everything like that. He speaks about unlocking the underlying emotions beyond that.
This guy is complete bullshit.
Yeah, I was like, I've never heard of a math teacher talk about like fucking the emotion behind problems.
Admittedly, I've like never taken a college level math course. well, I've taken a college level math course, but I've never taken one in university. I'm sure there are professors who are this fucking nuts about mathematics, but still.
Yeah. So, Sekijo is angry because she's like, God damn it, Yueko won that one. When all of a sudden, Ogata leans her head on her shoulder. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't sleep much last night. And she slumps her head back down on Sekijo's shoulder. And Sekijo, she blushes a bit. She looks over. And she sniffs Ogata's hair. And then the professor's like, hey! You seem very relaxed.
No ship teasing over there.
And
there will be no Yuri in this manga as long as I live. Now get horny or math.
Get horned for math, god damn it. And he says, hey, the important thing in mathematics is whether or not you are worthy of learning. This is a problem you should be able to solve with your high school math skills. Are you worthy or not? Like he's Shao Kahn before a Mortal Kombat tournament or something.
You just know that the college has completely regretted giving this guy tenure since day one that he got it. Like, all of a sudden the mask drops and he stops seeming ordinary and approachable. Is that only those who are worthy can learn math? God damn it, Joe.
Fuck, man. Come on, dude. I have the class after you and everyone's pissed.
What, really? It's like, yes, literally every time that someone takes your class, they have my class immediately after.
I saw a great review on Leave My Professor that was like this meme today. And it was just like, the review was, every time I go to his class, I don't wear my seatbelt because I secretly hope I'll die before I make it to his class. And I was like, shit. That is a great fucking response to have to a teacher.
Jesus.
So Yuega shows up as the professor has then cornered them outside the room and is like, your originality and creativity in mathematics is outstanding. And I've been like, is there room for a lot of originality and creativity in mathematics per se? Like,
yes. There are creative ways that you can go about solving a problem that is complex enough. And there are terms that mathematicians use that make math seem more poetic than it actually is. But this implies that the equation you put up on the board, which looks to be so there's some calculus in there, it looks like. But I don't really see how she would have found an original way to solve it. Anyway.
He's very excited, though. And he's like, with your skills, it's unthinkable that you not apply to the math program. And Ogata's like, I'm just here with a friend. I'm actually applying to a different program. And he's like, no, but wait, let's at least talk about this. And just like, they're doing an open house for the psych department, so I gotta go.
Bye.
And I kind of hope this character shows up again and again. Like, eventually there's gonna be this big chapter where like Yuega has to confront love. And he's gonna be like on a park bench somewhere. And he's just gonna be like, love, what is love? And you're gonna hear like on the opposite side of the park bench, you're just gonna see a guy. And he's like, some say love is an equation. 1 + 1 = 2.
He's just like gotten really dumb about math since Ogata got fired from his job because he couldn't think of it.
Just a giant beard. And he's like, but 1 - 1 is nothing. He just starts weeping and then does a shot of heroin. Yuega's like, I think I'm gonna go
think about this somewhere else.
Yuega's like, literally anyone else. I'll go talk to my mom about this first. So we go over to the psychology department, and this time Sekijo's the one booking away because she's got a bloody nose and everything like that. So she's like, "Yeah, you're gonna go now." And hold on, I need to zoom in to see what specifically the psych professor says here. I assume he's like German, so he's like, so in other words, memories are stronger to the degree at which they are triggered by high-impact events. And according to one study, I had to zoom out, because it's normal again. In particular, most people are able to remember the first 90 details of their first kiss. And you wake and thinks back to it. And I think we're also meant to get the impression Ogata is too.
She did too, because she's blushing remembering it.
Well, in the first moment, they're doing nothing. It's Ogata or Yuega that's blushing. He's like, it doesn't count. But then she is. And you can see that I think I don't know if it's supposed to be Yuega or Ogata that's saying, don't think about it.
It's Yuiga. Yeah.
Okay. So that class ends, and he's like, man, that made things really uncomfortable. I wonder where Sekijo is. Shoots a text that's just like, make sure you hold hands and don't get spotted. And like that Yuiga is just like, I know this bitch. And he just turns, and she's like hiding behind a tree. And he's like, get back here. And she starts running away. And there's this moment where, Ogata's all alone. So these two college guys like, hey, why don't you join our barbecue? And finally, Yuiga and Sekijo show up, and Ogata's like sitting down in the grass, and she looks really drunk, and they're like, oh my god, she's drunk. You gave her booze. And like, we swear she didn't. I think she got drunk on the alcohol fumes in the air. So what are they grilling with is the question. They're like, yeah, straight bourbon. That's all you need.
All right. Yeah, that's how you have bourbon chicken, right?
you just pour bottles of it over the grill. Man, this fire's getting really big. Which department are you guys in? Science.
Chemistry, doc.
We're majors.
And Frank here is in the culinary department.
That's like the steak's on fire, and he's just like, flipping one super burnt steak to the other clearly burnt side.
It'll be about 40 more minutes on this one.
You wanted rare, right? He's like, when they say it means rare, that means they want extra crispy, like a shiny Pokemon. You don't normally beef isn't black, so that's why you gotta get it really cooked right to make it shiny. Anyway, they're walking.
Everyone in this college is a massive dork.
Just like a real college. So they're walking Ogata home, and they're both thinking like, yeah, we kind of feel pretty bad about this. Except Sekijo, who's like, yeah, it's kind of bad. The way her boobs are bumping up against me is kind of distracting. And Yuiga's like, no! I mean, I felt bad that we kind of wasted this open campus opportunity. And Ogata wakes up, and she's not happy. She's got the big frumpy face, and then she's like warbling, and there's like puffs of angry smoke coming out of her. And she's like, how could you? And they're both like, yeah, if one of us had stayed with you, this wouldn't have happened. She's like, no, you're like, oh, well, we must have ruined our open campus by not paying attention. She's like, no, how can you not get it? Today, I was looking forward to the three of us hanging out, but for some reason, one or the other of you kept disappearing. How could you? And she has this very big crying face, kind of, as she really is sad about losing this opportunity. And both of them are pretty hurt about it. Yuiga's like, I'm so sorry for making you feel lonely. We were wrong. And Sekijo is like, I'll strip to make you feel better. Because that's the kind of series this is.
Yeah.
And that's it, actually. That's the end of the chapter. Yuiga's just like, is this what happens when you get drunk? Did you also get drunk off of the fumes?
Apparently.
And Ogata fell back asleep. So that's the chapter.
It was a funny chapter. Some good moments in it.
So why did you leave earlier in the chapter, Nick?
Oh, I needed to get water.
Oh, is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else?
Mm.
You need to
would there be anything else?
You need to maybe grab your credit card in preparation to maybe order a piping hot 2-topping pizza from the local pizza distributor of our choice.
Do you honestly believe from this chapter that I would be convinced? Is that what you're suggesting here?
Yes.
You think that I read this chapter and believed, oh no, I've lost the pizza bet?
Yes.
Okay, let me get set for this. Oh, I see. So everyone online has decided that Nick's lost the pizza bet. Oh, look, Seiki Joe got all embarrassed and wanted to get naked around Ogata. Oh, that must mean she's in love with him. Yeah. You know what? I'm getting sick of this. I'm getting sick of all of you guys deciding that Chris deserves that free pizza when you know that he doesn't. You're just fooling yourselves the way you fool yourselves every day into thinking that you live meaningful lives because, oh, it doesn't matter if I'm not as great as Nick, if I'm not as talented as Nick. Well, you know what? You don't deserve even my attention and my acknowledgement. There will be no free pizza today or any other day.
Oh, shit.
Okay, sorry about that.
So what I'm getting out of this, Nick...
Sorry, I went to another place there for a second.
...is that the Scarab Master General has become face! I'm the Undertaker of Weekly Monkery. And when spooky things happen on the podcast, it's because bad guys are about to get their comeuppance, and then I get a DiGiorno. Can you imagine, like, if every time Undertaker beat someone at WrestleMania, he finished by going up to the top of the entrance ramp?
Undertaker, what are you gonna do now? I'm going to enjoy my favorite brand of frozen pizza, DiGiorno.
Someone's like,
wouldn't it be Tombstone?
Ew, gross. That's poop pizza.
Just because it's on brand doesn't... I mean, come on.
He's like, when I play Magic the Gathering, I don't force myself into the druid archetype just because it fits my old shtick. That's stupid. They can't... There's like only 20 of them that are playable. I mean, fuck.
The disgustingness of Tombstone Pizza has caused him to completely break character for one of the few times in his entire career.
It's only that... No, that wasn't even him. That was Stone Cold that laughed when the cameraman tripped over Undertaker's bike. After Stone Cold lost the whole fucking alliance storyline, everything like that, and they were all being dissolved. Some fucking stupid ass cameraman tripped over Undertaker's bike, and he's like, God damn it.
Oh, man. Shit.
So you don't... Not to bring heel Nick
back.
Not
to belabor a point? No, I did not.
You don't think even her sniffing her hair is something worth significantly noting?
I think that's the same thing as it is in every other Sekijo tease and We Never Learn, where she does something that implies that, oh, maybe she's got a crush on Ogata, but really it's just for a gag. And also you could, of course, read it in a certain way of just like, well, Ogata did just slump into her a second ago. Maybe she just instinctively did it.
Do you instinctively do that when people put their head on your shoulder?
But I also don't strip when I'm drunk, so... Well, I might.
I've got a couple videos that say differently, Nick.
Damn it. You promised you would never tell anyone about that night we spent in Baghdad.
Baghdad? Shit! We went somewhere pretty intense for our one-night trip.
I was searching for a city name for some reason. That was literally the first one that came to mind.
So, like, there's currently an ongoing storyline on SmackDown about one night in Milwaukee, but you were like, you know what that storyline needed? A trip to the hotbed of the Middle East. Somewhere where a war's been taking place for a good decade odd time or so. Somewhere with a government under constant siege, where the romance is no candlelit nights, just bombs illuminating our hidden love affair.
That's what you have for that? And then you got me drunk. You know I wasn't responsible for the things I was doing.
You know what bomb fire does to me? Gets me all hot and bothered. All right, One Night in Baghdad. That's the name of this episode.
All right. We're just going to move on from there. Dr. Stone! Okay. So last time in Dr. Stone, our heroes took the Cave of Miracles. Hooray! And now we get chapter Z equals 76, sorry. Final battle. Everyone is super happy. It's like, yes, we did it. We got the miracle fluid. Now we can actually depetrify everyone. Hooray! And Senku, of course, being always in the, okay, what's next kind of mindset. He's like, oh, hey, we got to make gunpowder now. And so they go into the cave and start gathering stuff up. Come out a little ways later. But in the meantime, Ukyo has noticed something.
But Nick, don't you mean Spookyo?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
That was a good one, so I keep the lights off.
I can't believe that there was ever enough liquor in the world to make me do the things I did.
Baghdad was a magical night.
So,
you know...
Yes, Chris.
You know, the Outcast song Bombs Over Baghdad was actually about that night we spent together. Good times.
So Senku goes into the cave with sulfur and charcoal, gonna combine it with nitric acid in order to make gunpowder. But then all of a sudden, something happens. Ukyo hears something, and he actually dives in the way of Senku and Taiju and Chrome. And this blood flies out of his chest from something. The sulfur... pardon me. The sulfur and charcoal fall to the ground and burst apart, and so they just scatter everywhere. No gunpowder for you. And we see that everyone who is kind of on the outskirts of the prior battlefield are now reacting with like, oh shit, I can't believe this happened. Even with Kohaku, even with Magma, and all of us, just one of them would be too much. But now they're face to face with both monsters, and immediately all the hope is drained out of them. The fact that they were so close to victory, it's all but completely forgotten. We get this big 2-page spread, well, 1.5-page spread of oh gosh, what's the other guy's name? Oh, it's like Hagyo or something like that. Anyway, Spear Guy and Tsukasa.
But Nick, don't you mean Hyubuga and Spookasa?
It's just the fact that you're flipping the lights on and off that I'm laughing at.
The Spookmaster General pulls out no stops.
Yeah, of course. It's a really cool image of the two of them standing on a tree branch for some reason with their weapons drawn. I really like the way it looks. And of course, Tsukasa and Senku are now meeting face to face again for the first time in a year. And Tsukasa's like, it's a shame that I'm going to have to just finish you off all over again. And, yeah. Gen tries to pull some quick deception by calling out in Lillian's voice, saying like, hey, don't worry, everyone. And a bunch of people were like, it's Lillian, we must protect her. Yeah, and the American army's revived, and they're... and so frickin' they throw the remains of the cell phone down in front of them. And, oh gosh, what is it? Hyoga, thank you. Hyoga says, like, come on, this is all a farce. Go ahead and show yourself again. The fact that you could never hope to contact the United States on something as primitive as this. And some of the people there who had joined their side are immediately like, oh my God, it was just Gen the whole time. How could you do this? Tsukasa says, it was pretty close, but this war has just been decided. And Hyoga says that everyone, the Kingdom of Science is lost. And Hyoga, I think it's Hyoga starting to say this. Like, I have a proposal. If you're willing, and Tsukasa cuts him off with a hand motion, and then Senku says, like, yeah, I get it. But you'll let these people live, and then only the science man has to die. Blah blah blah. Taiju, of course, objects to this because he's already lost his friend once, and he doesn't want this to happen again. And Senku says, "Hey, listen. Just like back then, I think you need a new pair of eyeballs, because back then you didn't make it in time, Taiju. I was alone. But now, this time, I've got more than I could ever ask for. There's you and a kingdom's worth of friends and allies." And Kohaku realizes that, hey, things aren't over yet, and she rushes in to confront Hyoga and Tsukasa. And Kinro is shouting after her as she runs out. I was like, hey, do you have a strategy or of what we're going to do? And she's like, no, but we've got to protect the miracle fluid site. So we're going to engage in siege warfare. And if we could just hold the ground, even if it's just for a second longer, I know that they can do something. I know our scientists will find a path to victory. And of course, Gen is like, but our chemical compound is gone. We can't make gunpowder. But Senku and Chrome are, of course, running to the cave to try and think of something, while Hyoga and Tsukasa rush in to attack Kohaku and the rest, with Tsukasa, and while Tsukasa and Senku simultaneously are thinking, in the end, the side that will triumph at the end of the day is the one that has been granted to humanity by nature's strength, or the fruit of humanity's labors over time, science. Some really cool visuals in this chapter, particularly ones that include Hyoga and Tsukasa. And it looks like we're really, really nearing the climax of this part of the story, considering that this feels like the final. Well, it's even titled "The Final Battle." So,
yeah, I mean, I'm pretty stoked to see what happens here. I like the sort of intimidation that comes with having Tsukasa and Hyoga looking so unstoppable. Like, we've kind of been built up with the idea that, like, oh, Lukaku's like the really strong one, like the best fighter. And like Ginro's like this super soldier, and you have Magma, who's just a super strong powerhouse, and all of them seem like nothing in comparison to these two guys. So like they're just that stupidly strong. So it's interesting to see what potentially might come of all this. I'm assuming the heroes will win, but it's nice to end a chapter on like kind of a threatening note, like, oh, these guys are that terrifying.
Yeah, and I love the way that they're drawn to make them appear so intimidating and huge. The fact that they're outnumbered, I think something like 20-2. They seem like they're going to have the tremendous advantage in this. So,
yeah, I'm excited for it.
All right. So, from here, then, we are going to move on to the 7 Deadly Sins.
Chapter 284, The Doorway to Hope? It's not a scary title, so I had to put a little emphasis in there. Anyway, the Demon King.
That's not Halloweenish at all, the Demon King, no.
The Demon Lord. I forget what they actually specifically call him, but he revealed his power last time as the ability to reverse magic, essentially. So anything that would hurt him instead healed him. So they were doing the inverse then. They started trying to heal him. And they kind of note that's like their way through. He's trying to stop Melodius, who's trying to just power his way through. And Bon, with his new power of give, is giving his life to this guy. And he says, yeah, give this taste of this infinite life of mine. And Bon and Wild come to the edge of this enormous sort of pit that is the doorway to the other side. And we cut back to see Bon has been sort of stopped. That the Demon Lord is kind of crushing him in his grasp, but he's just like, oh shit, how'd this guy get his magic back? He's like, I just cut off my magic, meaning I intentionally restored the damage you caused me. So he's like, you don't think it would just be as easy as using a Phoenix down on a zombie, did you? Like, that'd be a pretty shitty final boss fight. Which I think is actually how one of the Final Fantasy games can end. I think you can fight a boss that you throw a Phoenix down on and it'll kill it or something like that. But before anything can happen, Melodius comes in, saves Bon, cuts him and basically frees himself and says like, hey, you go on ahead. I'm going to keep him busy. And Bond's like, no, what are you doing? Like, what's the point if all of us don't go back? And he's like, he's not going to let us all. So, you go and I'll catch up with you. So they try to go. Melodious, there's an attack that basically leaves just an enormous crater around where Melodious was. And Demon King's just like, how dare you disobey your own father, you good for nothing. Melodious like, I never once considered you to be a father.
Fuck you, Dad.
Yeah, suck my nuts, Dad. And they have this big kind of fight where they're swinging their swords against one another and, countering attacks. And these a giant clash of the two swords. And Wild and Bond are running away. Bond doesn't want to leave Captain Melodious behind. But finally, the Demon King is too strong. And Melodious says, like, I have no interest in sitting on the Demon Lord's throne. I just want to stop all the fighting. So Demon Lord basically, like, catches him with his sword and then just slashes him into the earth. Just pummels him into a crevice that he created with his blade. And he says, yeah, you know what it takes to inherit my throne. It's your sentiments that you don't need, so be gone. So remember that this is not Melodious proper, but Melodious's emotions, so to speak, or, conscience, sort of a combination of all of them. So If this dies, then the Melodious we have on the outside is probably all we're going to ever get. So it's this tense moment where it looks like the Demon King's going to kill him, when, boom, there's a blow on his chest. And we look down to see Wild, who is using Wild Full Throttle, the final ultimate secret arc that causes the life force concealed within me to sally forth and strike down my enemies. And Melodious is like, you idiot, you're going to die. And Wild responds by fucking butt-kicking Melodious straight into Bond, and with enough force to knock both of them into the gateway to the other side. And the Demon Lord tries to stop it. Wild counters it, but after doing so, he starts to explode with blood. And he thinks to himself, knowing that Miles, alive and well, made the wait of these past 8 million years worth it. And it's all thanks to you. I regret not getting to see my little brother, but what he needs more than an older brother he doesn't even know are two friends like you. I'm sure of it. Sir Melodious, Sir Bond, take care.
Aww.
How spooky. You have to pay attention to the last words. It looks like on the screen it says take care. He's actually saying take scare.
No.
Scaremaster General.
Honestly, I think it's a sweet little thing, honestly. Hey, it looks like they're out of purgatory now. So,
yeah, I think I agree with this decision too. As much as I kind of enjoy the silliness of it, I wasn't super excited at the idea of another boar out there. It wasn't anything I was super excited about, but his character kind of means a lot more in this moment of knowing that that's kind of the reality in his perception too. He's like, yeah, if the situation was there, Hawks would much rather you guys than me. He doesn't even know me. So in that moment, I'll give myself, because I'm happy just knowing he's alive and well. And it's very sad, but it as long as they don't go back on this or anything else like that, I mean, this definitely is a weight that carries a lot of emotion to it, and it's very tragic. And gives a lot of earned feeling to this escape for the Demon Lord.
Yeah. Wild was around enough that you got to know him and got a little bit attached to him. And also, maybe this can actually mean something when they, go out of it. I was like, hey, maybe, Hawk will learn about his brother, and that we'll get something from that. We don't actually see him necessarily die, so hey, maybe he'll end up being brought back, but probably not.
Never saw them kill Bon Clay.
We'll see. But it was an interesting way of going about introducing a problem and solving. It was like, okay, we can't actually all three of us escape because of this. So of course the most disposable person has to go. So
it works. So I feel like another series wouldn't have earned this moment quite as well. So props to Seven Deadly Sins for this.
Yeah. And from there, we're going to move on to The Promised Neverland. It's chapter 105. Where's the chapter title on this thing? Is it at the beginning? It's not at the beginning. Illusion is the title. Illusion. So everyone is retreated into the catacombs beneath, I guess, their hideout, or possibly adjacent to their hideout, because, of course, asshole humans who with guns have driven them out of it. So everything is like, all right, we've got to escape from here. And Yugo is talking with Ray as they're walking through the caves, like, hey, why do you think that there are 8 enemies? There are over 60 of us, and we've got weapons, but they only sent 8 people. And Ray says, well, maybe they didn't know how many of us were here. And Yugo says, well, but if they did... And Ray says, well, then obviously they would make sure to max level before they took us on. He's like, yeah, they would send an elite team. Yes.
You know that Ray's always thinking, there's like, this, in this month of October, I want to remind you all, hashtag booby memories. Do you guys have them? My booby memories? Everyone's like, fuck you, Ray.
Wow, Ray, you've been really horny since you hit puberty.
Now it's a pun. You don't get it. Nobody gets me.
You're talking about boobies. No, I'm talking about baby, but boo. Like, oh my God.
Think about it. Like, baby.
You guys are Philistines. Anyway, hashtag booby memories. Just kidding. Oh my God, who put all this cleavage on my Twitter?
There's so much of it.
It's so hideous. I'm purely asexual, so I don't get off on any of this. So
I only get off on selfies.
That's why you take so many of them.
Yeah, you're a good one. I'll keep you for later.
Oh, God.
Ray, Chris just got shot. No time like the present is what I say. Chris would have wanted it this way.
He looks at a picture of himself dabbing. He's like, oh yeah, you little slut.
It's him dabbing as Chris is being shot in the background. Like it's like mid-shot, so he's like airborne, blood flying out of his head. He's just like, I can crop it out. I might not though. It kind of makes my dab a little bit more dynamic.
It just makes my dabs even more powerful. They've just left him behind in the tunnel at this point. Oh no, I'm lost. So, everyone's getting optimistic at this point because they're like, random small black-haired child is like, we're almost there. One more level and we'll go up again and reach the exit. Yeah. So these two guys fall down from a hole above them, and they've been shot in the head. And Andrew is there, and he shoots.
Don't you mean Andrew?
Andrew.
And Doom.
Okay. So Chris, who is the black-haired kid, I guess.
Chris, there's no Chris here. Just the Scare Master General.
No, I'm talking about Kid Chris in the manga. Yeah, he's gotten a grazing wound or something like that.
I like that Chris, the most notable of characters, was considered too notable and prestigious to even be amongst those they consider dead on sight. They're like, well, we can't just kill Chris like that. The fans will take to that. Like, he's such a good friend. He's such close friends with Anna, who's the 5th most popular character in the series. We can't do him like that.
I also like that there are these two guys up ahead of them who have been shot in the fucking head, and one of the other kids is like, did they die?
It's like, aren't you supposed to be super smart?
So Andrew is like, hey, food children. My name is Andrew, and I am here to kill all of you. I know you're down there. Come on. I killed all your supporters in the last 2 years. That's how we know about the shelter. And also about the exits. We're going to kill you. So come out with your hands up so I can kill you, basically. So obviously this has does cause some of them to panic though, because he says like, oh my god, the supporters are dead. Seriously, is that why we haven't heard back from them? And is there really no escape? And so Ego says, hey, come on, just calm down and send a message down the lines. If there's enemies, beware your surroundings, and we'll think of something to do. So Yugo realizes from this, like, okay, so they don't actually want to capture us. They actually want to kill us. And that's because in the eyes of the Ratri clan, we are mistakes. No one can find out about us. So they're probably at this moment starting to box us in. So Ray starts thinking of what they should do. Is like, well, let's say there's 8 of them and 3 exits. There are only probably about 5 or 6 coming in. Maybe we could fight them. Maybe if I use my... Yeah. Hang on a second. Hey there, good looking. He's just spotted a bottle of water.
He's just like, hey, what's going on there, buddy?
You come here often.
Really? You're so interesting.
Oh, you have baby memories too. Wow, that's amazing. We have so much in common. Ray, we're gonna die! Emma, shut up!
Emma, get out of my sex dream! It's not a dream! Why is it a sex dream?
She like steps in the puddle of water. Like, no, you scared him off! Oh! I'll never meet anyone like him ever again! You ruined it!
She turns over to Mary. It's like, hey, how are you doing there? Good looking. Emma's coated in the blood of their fallen siblings. It's like, Ray, for the love of God, some point you have to turn off. Turn off, Emma. Why? I'm so turned on right now.
God!
Leave him! Just leave him here to die! I don't even care!
Just witness the death of 20 of my siblings, but you know what? I can handle one more. Just shoves him out. Oh. So Emma is starting to get really worked up emotionally at this point, because she's thinking back over all the stuff that they've been through at this point. And also, of course, she's overcome with grief over the deaths of her 2 nameless companions. And she's like, this is ridiculous. We just want to live. Why? Why is it like this? We're human, so why? And she finally says out loud, why? We don't want to break the promise. We're going to make a new promise and find the 7 walls, and we won't cause any trouble for you. That's why we don't have to fight you. So we just want to protect our everyday lives that we deserve. And Andrew's like, the 7 walls? So you're searching for the 7 walls, and you're going to make a new promise, huh? And someone gets like, yes! It doesn't matter. That's not the point. Actually, that gives us more reason to kill you here. Even if the world would allow it, we need to keep this order. The lives you deserve, you want to protect them? You've got it all wrong. You're food. Your lives never existed from the beginning. It's all an illusion. And he puts on a gas mask and throws, I think, he throws some sort of gas grenade down into the pit. So Yugo calls for them to shut the fire door, and they dive out to the other side of it to cut them off from the gas, but it's starting to leak under the bottom of it. So Ray is like, oh god, what do we do? If we retreat, we're surrounded, and they've blocked off all the exits, so how are we going to escape? I don't know, but we've got to get out of here. So things are looking pretty dire for Emma and company at this point.
This is a pretty significant chapter, because to this point, the Promised Neverland has not really had casual death in it before. And granted, these are 2 characters that maybe we've been introduced to at some point. Certainly don't remember the name of them. They're about as tertiary can get. But they did just stone cold get killed. I don't think they're trying to bring them back or anything like that. And you think back to everything that happened back at Goldie Pond, and you were like, oh wow, they saved fucking everybody from that fucking place. Everybody was fine, basically. So this is an interesting scenario where you're like, oh wow, two members of their group just got straight up fucking, gunned down immediately. And then there's a grazing wound on Chris. Not Chris!
No!
So it's definitely interesting to see that this final arc is pushing for a different direction, maybe, or maybe this is just the start of it, or this rather is the only part of it, and everything else will be good stories from here on in. I'm definitely excited though for the next chapter to be like, oh, what do they do? Because they do seem to be in a pinch where I'm like, how do they get out of this? Like, what's up their sleeve?
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that you were, expect from Promised Neverland, is being in these seemingly impossible situations, and what do they do in order to get out of it. And honestly, ever since they got fucking guns, it's seemed a little bit less like that than it did originally. So okay, and now we're going to talk about Black Clover.
Yes, Black Clover, page 175, the Silva's battle. We get like a nice color page of Mosa and why am I blanking on her name? Noelle. And they're staying around in autumn. It's got a nice color page. I don't know why. Just works.
Very bright.
Good colors, yeah. So, the team flying along with Noelle has shown up. And Noelle shouts out, she's like, oh, is that Captain Yami and Finral? And then N says, Captain Jack too. But Chris, don't you mean Captain Jack the Ripper? Oh wait, that's his actual canonical name. And Finral has this big thing. He's just like, oh, I'm sorry worried you and everything. And Noelle just immediately shits all over him. She's like, you're nowhere near qualified enough to have me worried about you, Finral the wimp. You better work hard enough to make up for all that carefree sleep you got. And then she's super tsundere in her mind because she's like, oh, I'm so glad he's okay. So she's soon for everybody.
Basically, yes.
And then, why do I always forget his actual name? I always just want to call him Zora. That is his name. What's his other name? Zerx. Zora. So Zora's like, yeah, it's a long time, Captain Psycho. Yeah. He sounds like,
That's actually not a bad
I figured better join the Magic Knights. Riding in his Mario go-kart with a tennis racket. I'm here for the spin-off games. Except for Super Smash Brothers.
With all how gangly he is, he does look very Waluigi. Yeah.
So Yami's like, who are you again? And Zora is pretty angry. He's like, I'm a member of your brigade of problem kids, and you better man up and take responsibility for giving me this rope, Captain Arbitrary.
So what a title.
Yeah. And Yami's just like, it took you long enough, idiot. How long were you planning to make me wait? They have one of those things where like they're being like they're acting like they're ball busting each other, but it's the most loving they've ever been. And I'm just like, I feel like this is the first time these guys have really interacted, so, like to us, the audience. So it's weird to like give them this relationship.
It's there's a lot of toxic masculinity in the Black Bulls, Chris. People aren't allowed to actually admit that they like each other because that's gay. So.
Or even again, anybody. Like Noelle, for some reason, is just not allowed to admit she cares about anybody. Like I imagine there'll be a funeral one day. Like Vanessa, of course,
there's
alcohol poisoning.
There's so much toxic masculinity, it even affects the women.
Like it's Vanessa dead after alcohol poisoning, and they're like, and Vanessa wanted her good friend Noelle to give the speech. She's like, it's like I care like you're dead. And then like in her mind, she's just like, I'm gonna miss you forever. And then still gets off the podium. Everyone's just like, I guess we clap for that. I don't know what to do. So they get to the three great houses. One is the house of Silva, which we already kind of know about. One is the house of Vermilion, where Kirsch and Mosa are from. And the last one is the house of Kira, which I don't know if we've heard specifically about before. It's probably referenced by somebody. Yeah, we need to read the light novel where it's it's a heavily involved factor.
I was just gonna make a Death Note reference, but okay, sure.
And they're splitting the team up, so they're all going different directions. And the team we're following is Noelle, Nozel, and Zora, who are going off to see what's going on with the House of Silva. So they get inside the mansion. They see all the dead bodies. Noelle's pissed, and Nozel, I guess, is angry. Like he doesn't talk about the lives lost. He's like, "How dare they defile our castle? These rogues were new."
Damn it.
I'll get you!
Those stains are going...
Sun!
These stains are going to need to be bleached for weeks!
And who's gonna bleach them? You've killed all the help! Now they can't bleach out any of the stains!
Actually, can we animate their corpses? We can't. You killed all the help!
Now we have to zombify them to clean our laundry. Great! That'll take minutes to do! Harumph. Zora immediately books it. He's like, fuck this, I go where I want. And Noelle's like, what are you doing? Don't go off on your own.
Don't tell me what to do!
Nozelle's just like, fuck you. Let him do what he wants. Then he knows something's coming, and there's a bunch of, I guess, whips that come at them, like vines. I don't know. It's like squiggly lines that are bad. Nozelle shields them all. He uses his mercury magic to make mercury shields, blocks them all.
There's not like different elements of magic. It's just different lines that are bad.
Yeah, different squiggly lines. They're all red, so you know.
These are jagged, straight lines. These are jagged lines. Those are bad. These are straight lines. Those are bad. These are whirly lines. Those are bad too.
They're all red. They're all color-coded red. So you, like, as a video game player, you're like, those are the bad ones. I shouldn't touch those ones.
Why is this ice attack red?
It's an evil ice attack. So he beats them all. And Noelle, that's his name, her name. She's like, free transforming mercury magic with fine mana control. It's both attack and defense. Nozelle is really amazing. And he's like, well, we'll have to crush them starting with the strongest. And I sense it's up there. So we cut over to where the compass magic lady, I still don't know if we've ever gotten a name for her yet.
It doesn't matter because we haven't gotten her elf name either.
Sure. So and she's up there, and what is this dude's name?
This is Solid.
That's it. I always keep thinking he has some Nozelle-esque name, and it's like, no, never mind, he's Solid. Solid is there kind of begging for his life because she's going to kill him after basically taking out their sister last time. And she goes to launch her attack when Nozelle comes in from behind them, uses his mercury magic to create shields, protect them all. And then Noelle, of all people, launches an attack and sends out her Siege Ragged's Roar. But as it comes at the Compass Lady, she turns it upwards using her compass magic, and it shoots up into the air. And Solid has to sit there realizing, wow, I can't believe it. Noelle, actually the entire fucking family has to stop in wonderment of like, Noelle casted a spell like that? And I'm like, didn't she do this during the tournament?
Didn't she do this to you?
He's just like, I can't believe she did a spell that big. They're like, aren't you in the condition you are right now from this exact spell? I might be
What?
forgetting.
No. Clearly, like, freaking Nozelle put me here, right?
He's like, why the fuck would I have been in a tournament for losers? And there's this whole thing where they're just like, the other sister's like, oh, wow, you know, it didn't work, so I'll have to hold them back and disappear. So she uses her mist magic, creates a big wall of mist, and teleports away. But Compass Lady is like, none of you are getting out of here. And she uses compass magic, another atlas. And it seals everybody in the room, I guess. That's another thing compasses can do.
I've used my arena trap.
That other iconic ability of compasses, trapping people in an area and enabling no form of escape.
I think that the idea is that it's direction based.
Yeah, I do get it. I do wish the magic was just called like direction magic. Because, like, when it's compass magic, I keep thinking of things strictly based on the object of a compass. And when it does something like locks people in an area, I'm just like, that's not what compasses do.
Well, you would just go in circles unless you had a compass, Chris.
I guess, but they do have one. They have a giant compass above their head now. They'll follow that north.
It's spinning, though.
Oh, wait, or how about a... Boo pass? No. I'll come out with next week.
Don't you mean comp gassed?
It's pretty good. I'm gonna take that.
Thank you.
But Nick, don't you mean a comp gas? Scammaster strikes again.
Yes, that was a really good one, Chris. Good job thinking of that one all on your own.
Scammaster General, Chris is dead. That's a new piece of lore I've had.
Chris is dead for the rest of the month.
He rises with Thanksgiving.
What am I gonna do for
tradition?
What am I gonna do for like the 4 weeks between October and Thanksgiving?
Oh, he'll be around. He'll just be dead. So he'll be slowly gaining his facilities back. Yeah. So yeah, because of this magic, they can't escape. And in addition, they won't be able to hit her, and all of her spells won't fail to hit them. And we see that the compass arrows she fired have broken through Nozelle's shields and have even pierced him in several spots. So Nozelle is saying, hey, calm down, you can't fight, so worry about yourselves. And he looks over, and he sees Noelle, and she's got her mana skin on, and she's saying, like, it's okay, I could do this, I could still fight. So Nozelle teamed up with her, and he's like, we'll show her the powers of the Royal House of Silva.
And then the next chapter, they're going to get their asses completely kicked, and Zora's going to save everyone.
Maybe.
No.
I don't know. Presumably, or something like that. Or he's defeated everyone else, and they'll just defeat these two.
He just shows up in a pile of corpses like, hey, what's up, bitches?
Surfing by on them with sunglasses.
You weren't supposed to kill them. Those are just possessed people. They're royals. Fuck them.
Eat shit, royals.
They killed my dad. Fuck them.
Lest you forget.
It was an alright chapter.
It's fine. I'm not super into the Silva family outside of Noelle. So like this idea of like her and her brother teaming up because they're friends now really just doesn't do that much for me. Because
every time that happens,
are still super big assholes.
Yeah, every time that happens, this thing is like, oh yeah, Silva only likes you now because she's competent. Fuck him.
Yeah, it's not like he learned an error from his ways. He just realized like, oh, I guess I shouldn't have considered you garbage. But now I take pride in our family again. It's like, I don't know. It's not really like I learned my lesson. He's just like, I guess you are one of us.
You know,
Pat's
Fuego Leon shows up in order to save the day. He's like, keep standing up, Leo. You did a good job holding them off while I was here. He's like, oh yeah, you liked your brother until before all this stuff went down. Good on you, nice person. But yeah, I did like some of the visuals we got. Both of the Silva siblings that we got that were, kind of carrying the action in this. And also, despite the fact that it's very nebulous, I like the stuff that's kind of being done with the compasses with this enemy. So,
yeah.
And we're going to finish things off with chapter 919 of One Piece, The Ruins of Oden Castle. Last time, Luffy Taro became a hero of the people, dropped off a big old treasure trove kind of thing, food and water and everything like that. And at the beginning of this chapter, he says farewell to Otama for the time being. She's going to go and reunite with her master with Speed, because Speed is still following her as her servant with the Pidgey fruit thingy, dumpling. And so she's like, yeah, I'm gonna bring the apples, this apple to her, and Luffy's like, all right, and say hi to the nose gramps for me, and I'll return the dog to you too, because the Komoino is apparently just staying behind for now. And Luffy says like, oh, and just let him know, I'm just gonna borrow this sword a little bit longer because you can't be a samurai without a katana. And Zoro's like, you didn't even use it. Also, let me see that. I don't know. I just love the directness of like, you didn't even use the katana. What are you talking about? So Speed runs off with Otama. And the Komoino stays behind because apparently he was just like loyal to them even without Otama's ability affecting it.
They're won over. So like we find out later on that, or we found out actually right before this, that Speed's kind of like honored the agreement. So I think it's one of those things like, you give a dog a treat. It's like, you're my friend now. I like you. That's kind of, I guess, what her little dumplings do.
Yeah. I don't know. So, everyone thanks Luffy for what they did, and they're like, "Oh, we've never eaten this well before. Thank you so much." And Law's like, "Huh, pirates doing nice things for people makes me sick." Really? You? Like, you? With the whole thing with...
That's just him being fucking tsundere.
With the whole thing with, like, Corazon and everything, though? It's like, oh, how dare pirates be nice?
He's just trying to keep up his perception as, like, this tough anti-hero when everyone's like, you've got the biggest, softest heart in this entire group.
You literally lead the heart pirates. Like, come on, dude.
Yeah, but when you say it in Spanish, the Corazon, it sounds cooler and it's metal that way.
Shut up! Go to my room! Luffy says goodbye to everyone as he and Okiku and Law and Zoro are all up on the Koma Inu, and they're riding off together. Okiku says that, oh yeah, I've just always wanted to see Odin Castle. That's all. That's why I'm coming. Although she wonders what the hell these guys are actually doing there, because she has her own reasons. And she's thinking to herself, like, they seem like good people, but I can't trust them just yet. And Luffy's like, I can't even see the exact sequence of this. So Luffy says, like, hey, Okiku's fine and she's tough, so she'll be okay. And Zoro just says, she's hiding something. Just like right in front of her. You're suspicious in some way. We get some cutting around Wano there for a little bit. First, we go to the flower capital, and there's a teacher there, who I don't even think that we get her name, but she seems to be a snake smile user, because she extends her neck out and she's got a tongue and everything like that. And she's telling these kids about the Odin and the Akazaya 9, who the kids, they're like, oh, boo, they suck, yeah. And she says, like,
no one likes Hill Nick. Boo! Yeah! Scaremaster General! Yeah! Woo!
So
I like that that's your heel character, like, switch to is just clip-on sunglasses.
You can't be a heel without sunglasses, Chris.
It's a true fact.
Ignore the 25,000 examples you can name off the top of your head. So the snake teacher lady is like, but don't worry, that was all 20 years ago, because our hero banished those bad samurai. And the kids are like, yeah, Shogun Kurozumi Orochi the two-sided, yeah! And they're like,
but Nick,
yes,
don't you mean Shogun Kurozumi Gorochi?
And just seeing how long you'll flick it on and off if I don't do anything.
It'll short out at some point.
Right, yeah.
That was a good one, so I'm going to keep it off.
Okay. So
I could be mischievous in the dark.
So with this look at what the Fire Nation education system is like, we then move on to another guy, Napping Kyoshiro, who was introduced as the Kurozumi clan's money changer. And he's seemingly a bit drunk on sake. And he's just like, man, that Shogun Orochi, he's such a coward. And some random servant is just like, oh, you shouldn't say that about him. And he's like, oh, come on. So what? I'm just seeking the truth. Here, listen. 20 years ago, in her dying moments, standing before his burning castle, Odin's wife spoke thus: "You are the moon, unaware of the dawn. May your purpose be fulfilled and cast 9 shadows on the night, woven of 20 years, and you shall know the brilliance of the dawn." Such a simple curse, a bunch of sour grapes. And do you know how Shogun Orochi interpreted this? And he just falls asleep all of a sudden. On a moonlit night, 20 years later, 9 samurai ghosts. Oh, Chris, that's actually a Halloween thing. Samurai Goose!
It's the Scaremaster General's favorite thing! Spooky synergy! Or as we like to call it, spoon energy.
What?
Spoon energy.
Okay.
Spooky synergy. Trademark, Scaremaster General.
Spooky, scary synergy. So yeah, he says like on a moonlit night, 20 years later, 9 samurai ghosts will emerge to kill you and fulfill their vengeance so they can open Wano's borders. And it's been exactly 20 years since then. Verily, Shogun Orochi is terrified. He trembles in fear at the ghosts of the Kozuki clan coming to kill him at any moment. I'd love to see that one play out.
Nick, this has gotten too scary for me. Scaremaster General's retired. This is too scary.
What can the dead actually do? He drove all the Kozuki samurai into the castle 20 years ago and burned them all alive! While he is giving this story, we see that there is a geisha there performing, and so when it panned to her, I was just for a second, I was like, why is there this woman who looks like Okiku here? And then I was like, oh, right, Robin's undercover as a geisha. I completely forgot it. So there you go. We cut back to Luffy's group. They've reached the ruins of Odin Castle. And Luffy's immediately like, there's no castle here. And Zoro's just like, yeah, they're ruins. And Okiku all of a sudden gets very emotional and she rushes off. And Luffy's like, what's up with her? Also, Zoro's gone. Yes, as Luffy notes, amazingly, he can even get lost riding a dog. So, Law kind of drives him over. He's like, here, there's stuff that you've got to see. And they see that he sees that there are graves, of course, the same ones that we saw last time for Momonosuke and Kinemon and Kanjuro, Raizo, and Luffy's like, oh my gosh, are they dead? Oh, yeah, oh, that's right, we couldn't get in touch with them, so did they die? Where's Kinemon? I thought that he would be here. And Law just says, he's gone. He's been gone for a while. But you might see him at night. He came out in the dead of night yesterday. And Luffy's like, you make it sound like he's a ghost. It's like, what does he have? Does he come out from his grave? Come on, are you like dancing around a point? He's literally just saying, it's like, why are you saying things in ways that could be interpreted two ways, basically? Are they alive? Just tell me if they're alive. Because you keep on making it sound like they're dead. Are they dead? And finally, Kinemon comes down and he's like, oh, Luffy, you've completed your journey. I'm sorry for not welcoming you, but I've been struck with violent stomach outbursts. So he is alive, Law? I was like, well, yeah, did I ever say he was dead? I said he might come out of the bathroom by tonight.
It's like, I feel like you...
Is this like Law's idea of humor or something like that? Is he just really bad at it? Like, everyone in his crew says he's a really good stand-up, but he's not. They just, humor him because he's the captain and he can tear apart their bodies with a single thought.
I have to assume so.
Oh, no, your stand-up was great, boss. Yeah. So...
You really nailed it about PC culture today. It's very good. It's very topical.
That's right. We should just be willing to say when women are stupid. That's right. Yeah. Please don't fire me.
Wasn't really a joke so much as you venting, I guess. It wasn't the punchline, which was kind of uncomfortable.
Yeah, just made me really think about the fact that we don't actually have any women on this crew, and makes me wonder what you would do with them.
Mean? We have Beppo. They're like, Beppo's a dude. I kind of see anything that's not a normal white man to be like in that like anonymous term of individuality.
I also assume that he is gay and trans and also black.
He's all the races that aren't white.
Aren't you like Asian or something?
He's like, or something. That's the key deal.
I can't be racist if you don't know what race I actually am.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely sexist and transphobic. Okay, that's the important part. Okiku, seeing Kinemon come out of hiding, bursts out from where she was, I guess in the bushes or something like that, and just tackles him in a big old hug. And says, "Oh, I'm so happy to see you," basically, and Kinemon is shocked to see her there. And then she's like, "Oh, wait, so then are these the people who?" And Kinemon's like, "Yeah, these are powerful helpers that I've recruited." And then Momonosuke shows up, and he's like, "Oh, Luffy, you're here!" And he shows off that, I've been practicing with the blade, and he's swinging what looks like a wooden stick around. Then the other Straw Hats that were on the Thousand Sunny show up as well. Are all coming out to greet Luffy, except for Nami, who's lazy and is riding around on Chopper's back. So big old happy reunion. I do like that Luffy is like, what took you guys so long? And so she's like, we were searching the bottom of the ocean looking for you. We thought you had gone into the ocean and were going to die.
He's like, oh, well, that's stupid. I was fine all along.
Anyway, we found your Viva card, so we knew you were alive. They go inside of a little ramshackle shack, and they start talking and sharing information amongst them. So Kimon says, "Hey, listen, in addition to, Momonosuke's identity, look, I've got another secret that I've been keeping from you." And Luffy's like, well, what's with all these secrets? Just what the hell is this? And Kimon says, like, all right, I'm sorry. Listen, the 5 of us in total, we 3 sitting here, and Kanjuro and Raizo, whom you know as well, are in fact, meaning in total, Kanjuro, Raizo, Kinemon, Momonosuke, and Okiku as well, are in fact people who belong to the past. As a matter of fact, we crossed through time to arrive here from the Wano of 20 years ago. Spooky time travel!
What's really spooky is... I hate time travel. I was trying to lead into that, but... we'll have to see how this goes. I'm normally very, vocal on the fact that I don't dig stories when they involve time travel into it. But this seems like it could be a very relatively minor kind of situation with it. So we'll see where it goes. We're still pretty early on in the arc, so let's see where this all leads. I mean, it's intriguing at the very least.
You're kind of tying some things together as well with their connection to Zoe. Like, why the hell did things happen between them that happened so long ago? I guess that we're going to get a lot of exposition next chapter. So, we'll see how that all turns out. Well, that is going to do it, guys, for Week of Manga Recap. So we are going to take a little bit of time to discuss what our favorites were this week. Favorite chapter and MVP, Chris?
Well, my favorite chapter, of course. As Scare Master General.
Yes, Chris? Yes, Scare Master General.
There we go. Hat's a little fucked up, but makes the point. It has to go to the spookiest series in our recap. The 7 Deadly Sins. Ooh. It's also the most consistently epic of these series, as most of the other ones are in a building process. Ooh, narratively speaking.
Ooh, that is a good point. Yes. So, oh gosh. Everything is kind of building up and like everything else, but I am actually going to go with the Promised Neverland just because it seems like a very high tension moment at this point. And I do really like the speech that Andrew gives. Just saying, I don't fucking care. We're going to kill you all. So, but in much more flowery terms. And I'm going to give my MVP to Wild because, hey, this character had a point. Yay.
I'm trying to think if there's anyone outside of Wild I can really give it to. And literally the only person I can think of is David from Teenage Renaissance David. For all that stupid amount of work put into just doing the thinker pose. And I'll give it to Wild. Just because it seems like the natural thing to do. But I want everyone to know that was my second choice.
Okay. And that is going to do it, everyone. We want to thank you for joining us here in smashcast.tv/RoloT and twitch.tv/RoloT, where we record the show, usually around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can also check out our past episodes on weeklymangarecap.poppy.com, on iTunes, on YouTube. Be sure to leave comment, rating, and subscribe, and all that stuff to help out with the algorithm so we can ascend to the top of the hobby section and defeat the woodworkers. If you want to stay updated on any changes that we're going through, in case we need to move the recording time or anything like that, you can follow us on Twitter. The official podcast Twitter account is @DiffMemberPodcast, and your hosts are @RilloT and @NickFTime. If you would like to send us feedback or ask us questions for our Q&A episodes, which we need more Q&A submissions, by the way, we are starting to make our way through the backlog very quickly. So send that stuff in, because there's a chance actually that we'll get to your questions more quickly than we would have in the past. Or, of course, suggest manga for us to read. You can send that stuff via email to weeklymangarecap@yahoo.com, or you can also suggest stuff on the Weekly Manga Recap Discord server, which is actually where we've been getting a lot of our recommendations lately. Special thanks go out to all of our Patreon supporters who allows us to create all sorts of fun bonus content for you guys to enjoy. We were very busy over the past month getting caught up, and there's if you haven't checked it out in a little while, there are bonus episodes and commentaries and all that stuff out there. So, woo. And special thanks as well to Steve Mann, our target artist, and to Infamous Planet. And I think that's everything.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's been a good time.
Yay!
We'll catch you next Thursday, or should I say next Bloods Day.
Very, very, very stretching on that one. Oh no, the Spookmaster General is dead! Chris, you're back! Oh no! Oh no!